Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Fall. Jersey Joe Archino back here, and welcome to my final Premier League table rankings countdown segment for this little series that I've been doing, because we are one day away from the start of the English Premier League season, and which means that, of course, finally we are at my number one team, the one I think will finish as the champion at the end of the season, and I don't think that comes to any surprise now. That is Manchester City, and I could give a lot of reasons why I chose Manchester City as my champion. I think most pundits are either going with United or going with City, but for me, I think the biggest reason that I did was one man, and that's Pep Guardiola. Obviously, he's a manager who has had success everywhere he's ever been, and he's won almost every trophy imaginable. And I think he inherits a squad with so much talent in it already. He spent $150 million this summer to strengthen the current squad and to build for the future as well. So he really is so aware, keenly aware of everything that he has to do. I think sometimes self-awareness is something that even the biggest managers can be their downfall, but it's not something that really ever catches Guardiola. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's moved around so much, and he's really hasn't had a reason to leave Barcelona or to leave Bayern Munich because he was having that success. But I think he knows sometimes when you're a manager like him and you micromanage and you're so demanding on your players like he is, he understands that doesn't last forever. And he's already talked about, I don't think that City will be his last big job in world football. He will be at the helm of somewhere else big one day, but right now his job is at Manchester City, and I do think in season one he will win the title. And obviously it won't be easy. I do think it's going to take until February, maybe January, until the squad really looks like what he envisions it as, and that's because he is so difficult to play for. I mean, you go and you look at all the players that he's had, and they all praise him, praise his tactical awareness, praise his ability to make them better players, but the one common thing that always comes back is it takes time. It takes a lot of time to get used to his style, to do what he wants and what he's asking of them. But I do think that's something these players are capable of. A lot of the really bright guys like Fabian Delph already came out right away praising his ability. And then I do think that it's one of those situations where with a player like a Kevin De Bruyne there who will be perfect for him, will he be able to improve the likes of a guy like Raheem Sterling? I do think that he will. And I think right away he was right, even during Euros and the struggles Sterling and all of England had, he was kind of in his corner, kind of trying to offer some support. But you have to look first and foremost at the people they brought in. Obviously, Gundogan from Borussia Dortmund, I think, is going to be a huge impact. He won't be ready for a while, but I still think it will be. Nolito, Sané, one of the young guys. John Stone's probably the most important summer signing that they made, because, I mean, when you look at the numbers, City has spent over $180 million on defenders of the last couple seasons. It's just incredible how they can't find a cornerstone guy. Vincent Kompany is going to be one of the big puzzle pieces of this team. His health, I mean, Guardiola has always been upfront and honest about it. He needs to find a way to keep him healthy, because when he is on the field, of course, he is that difference maker, not just from his play, but just from the leadership that he offers. And the thing to me that put me over the top in choosing them as my champion, and it wasn't easy, because if you listen to yesterday's where I picked Manchester United to be in second place, I think the thing that made me decide that it had to be City was Guardiola, when he first talked to the public, basically when it was introduced to the fans, said his first job before tactics, before anything else, his first job was to create a team spirit for Manchester City. And last season, the thing that held them back, the reason they finished in an incredibly disappointing fourth place, and the reason they couldn't beat anybody who was worth anything in the Premier League last year, it was because they had no team spirit. There was no connectivity. There was no unity. And when I heard Guardiola say that his first order of business was to create a team spirit, and that was before anything else could even start, that is kind of the thing that made me think this is who the champion is going to be next season. Now, It's going to be obviously an incredibly difficult league to win this year, not like last year where there will be a huge surprise. There are 7 clubs who legitimately can win this title, and I think we all know who they are. It's City, it's United, it's Chelsea, it's Arsenal, it's Tottenham. I'm not counting out Leicester, although I don't think they will. Even Liverpool, I do think has a chance, and even a side like West Ham United has improved by leaps and bounds playing in the Olympic Stadium. They're going to be monumentally better. So there are so many clubs who legitimately can hold down and hoist this trophy, but I do think City will be your champion. One of the things that obviously we have to keep our eye on the most is what the goalkeeping situation is. If you're reading the news, it does seem like Joe Hart's days at City might be numbered, and that's not really news to any of us. I think ever since Guardiola came as the forefront, we all kind of knew that Marc-Andre ter Stegen from Barcelona was kind of going to be a guy he really wanted. And look, I mean, when you look at Claudio Bravo, when you look at ter Stegen, Barcelona obviously has a difficult situation on their hands. Both guys, incredible goalkeepers. Claudio Bravo has shown it to us not just in La Liga season, but in Copa America the last 2 seasons, basically in the final going to penalty kicks. He's been phenomenal, and I think ter Stegen's obviously very young, and he's frustrated because he's really only gotten to play in the huge matches with the Champions League, but he wants to be the guy all the time, and he honestly is good enough to do that. So is his days numbered? You never know. I do think, though, he hasn't been great the last few seasons for City. He had some of his best matches in the Champions League last season. It was one of the big reasons why City basically got as far as they did. But despite that, he just hasn't been good enough consistently for this club, and I wouldn't be surprised because Guardiola seems to be pushing for his own new guy. But we have to look, obviously, at the start of City's season, and it's a little bit jam-packed, definitely more so than United's is, on the other hand. And they basically start off their Premier League campaign against Sunderland, then they've got their UCL playoff match, then they're at Stoke, they've got the second leg of the UCL playoff after that, then West Ham, then the one on September 10th, we're all circling on our calendars at going to Old Trafford playing Man United, then Bournemouth, and then at Swansea. So that's basically their schedule from the first match day of the season in August until the end of September. So City's going to be obviously very busy, and I do think there will be some frustrations along the way there. It's just the way it is. Guardiola, it's a new day. He still needs, and he's talked about how he still wants to know so much about his players, their habits, every little thing about them, and that's just the way that Pep Guardiola is. But if you're looking for reasons to choose your champion for next season, I do think Manchester City offers several of them, and I think the biggest one is obviously Pep Guardiola. But Man United is not too far behind like City. They built themselves presently with some of the signings they made. They also built themselves for the future as well. So it's going to be such a hyper-competitive season. But the one thing I've always said is it will be the year of the Manchester clubs. Both of them will dominate this league. Give it some time because of the managers, the new style, the new everything. But I do think at the end of the day, the Manchester clubs will rule the day. But the blue one will be the one hoisting Premier League glory. Until the start of the season, though, one day away, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll catch everybody next time.